Hello everyone, welcome to another deck profile. A lot of decks that we can go through in set 6, so I'm just trying to get a couple of them out. Some of the ones that I kind of know a bit better, so Solreron, Messiah, and now EVA, are decks that I kind of already know pretty well. Kind of think I've got them as solved as I think they're going to be for me. So today we'll just be doing EVA, which is one of my favorite, if not my favorite, glitter deck. I think this one is probably the glitter deck that I'm the most good with. But I think Chaos is probably the deck that I have maybe some of the more fun with, because it is a lot more explosive, whereas EVA is a lot more slow tempo-y kind of control. Not control, but like very little by little increments until you eventually wear your opponent out and you can just win the game. So ride line, nothing crazy, just playing your standard ride line. It gets you 2 researches, and then once you get to grade 3 EVA, you can start drawing or picking some extra cards, which is always good. Then let's move on to the main deck. We'll be doing normal units and then orders. So first up for grade 3s, we have 2 copies of Poison in Paradise EVA. You really only need the 1 because of the new card we got in set 6. So, but I played 2 just in case one gets damaged, but even then you can still loop just the 1. Also playing 4 copies of grade 3 Obscudate because gaining a crit is really good, and it becomes a 23k attacker. Kind of hard to argue against it, so just playing that for grade 3s. Grade 2s, we're playing 3 copies of the grade 2 Obscudate. Still a good card. It's still a 10k shield, a 15k attacker. You can attack the whole front row, which is always good. But you really want to always go into grade 3 unless you're playing against something that specifically requires you to retire front row. Only playing 3 because, again, you can cycle it back if you really need to, but Poison Paradise can call it from drop, so you don't really need to play a lot of this one if you really need it. Playing 3 copies of Combine Rusher. Again, it just comes back. Hard to argue against it. Not a lot of things will be using CB in this deck, so you'll be more than able to bring back your Combine Rushers whenever you need them to. So that's all for grade 2s. Moving on to grade 1s. We're playing your obligatory 4 copies of Imigrar. You just need it. It lets you Superior Ride from the deck. It can come back for 3 energy, which is the only thing that uses energy in this deck. It creates soul. It's just an incredibly good card. I know it's expensive as hell right now, but it is an incredibly good card, and it's hard to argue against it. Then we have some of my tech grade 1s, which one is probably one you've seen in a lot of lists, and that is Radia Bilio? I don't remember, but he gains a lot of power. He essentially is a 23k booster. As long as you have 7 grade worth of set orders, which you won't have it on first grade 3 turn, but you should have it on second grade 3 turn, regardless of if you get to play a second of the grade 3 or whatever, you'll have 7 on your second grade 3 turn. So 23k booster is pretty good. Then the other one that I'm playing 2 of is Bearer of Interstellar Extinction. So this card is very good against a lot of decks that you'll be seeing moving forward. Probably a lot of decks, Dragon Empire decks specifically, are moving into playing a lot of Blitz orders. And this just says that if you Persona Road, when it boosts a rearguard, you can CB1. Until end of battle, your opponent cannot play Blitz orders from hand, and they would call from cards from Guardian to from hand to Guardian. They have to call 2 or more. So it is an incredibly strong guard restriction you can put behind an Obscudate, and it'll just make it so that your opponent can't use their Blitz orders. You can stop them from using their Sanctitude. You can stop them from using the Roaring... I don't remember the name of it. It's the grade 2 order for Dragon Empire that just lets you bounce a rearguard back, so they'll or a Guardian back to hand. And obviously, it'll also be really good in the mirror because you can stop them from using their copies of Freezing Wave with this unit. Only 2 because there's no real way to find it, but you do dig through your deck pretty quickly. So you should hopefully run into at least one, and then you can play it at an opportune time. And then once you do, you could just win the game on the spot by catching your opponent off guard, by them thinking that they'll be fine, as well as making them say, or making it so that if they want to PG your rear guard, they have to waste at least 3 cards to do so, because they'll have to card the PG, something else, and then discard for the PG. So incredibly good effect there. Last for the grade 1s is just 4 monster PGs. You'll see why. I'm thinking of maybe playing the 1 Sanctitude, but I'm already playing some Blitz orders in this deck, so it might clash a little bit. But that's all for grade 1s. Let's move on to our orders. So for researches, we're playing 3 copies of The World is a Blue Research Lab. Check top 5, call something, Soul Blast 1, rest 3, research, and then give something +5. Incredibly good card, but 3 is more than enough. You'll get it when you need to. And then we're playing 2 copies of Imprisoning Past. This is the new card we got in set 6. That is, when your glitter is placed on van or rear, you can have that unit gain +5 until end of turn. And this is on anything during your turn. So usually I use this +5k effect on the obscure data I call off of Poison and Paradise, so that it can hit for better numbers then. Then also the reason this card is so good is that you can Soul Blast 1, rest it, and choose a glitter from your drop, put it on the bottom of your deck. So no longer will you draw into all of your Poison and Paradise and not be able to use Imigrar. With this, you can just bot deck the Poison and Paradise and then use Imigrar, write it from deck, and then you can keep that loop going for pretty much ever. Obviously, you'll deck out, but you can do it for pretty much ever. Then we're playing 2 copies of Result of Experiments henceforth. If you need the protection in certain matchups, you go for this turn 1, and then if not, you can just use it to do some counter charge and get some extra soul, and then get yourself an extra card in hand. And then the last research we're playing is 1 Torrential Energy Research. If you don't need the protection against certain decks that are just not going to really retire your rear guards, or they're not going to do it in a way that you really care about too much, you can just go for the Torrential. Hopefully you hit an Imigrar or something off of it. Incredibly good card. But that is all for research. We're playing a total of 8, which is more than enough. You should never need to play more than that. Then we've got a couple orders left. One is the Fire Regalis. This is a really, really good inclusion to this deck, because you can call stuff off of it. You can add stuff to your hand. If you whiff, you can draw a card. But most importantly, you can use the effect even if you've already played an order for turn, which is honestly the best thing. You just get to do some extra deck thinning. And then only 2 copies of Freezing Wave. You kind of have to cut down on room in this deck, so only 2 for now. Maybe I bump this up to 3, because I have had a couple games where I just don't see it, and it is a bit rough on me. But the 2 for now is good. I have a hard time cutting stuff in this deck, so just 2 of them for right now. OT, you're looking at red OT. Hard to argue against it. Giving a Obscure with a crit, the ability to restand, and 100 million power is almost always game, just right there. So this red OT kind of hard to argue against in this deck. Then you've got 3 fronts, because you'll always usually have a standing front row after this when you drive check. So hard to argue with 3 fronts. And then you got your 8 crit, because you want to be able to crit your opponent as often as possible and do the extra damage as often as you can. And then you just got your 4 vanilla heals. Nothing crazy here. Trigger lineup doesn't really need a lot of change in this deck. It is pretty standard at this point. This might not be one of the most crazy deck profiles out there. I mean, EVA is pretty standard. Not a lot of changes that can be done with this deck, but it's still a deck that I really enjoy, and I think the addition of that 1 grade 2 card and the Fire Regalis to this deck is going to increase its strength so much that I think the deck is going to be pretty good moving forward. It can it can hold its own, I think, against things like Bob Sargra, and especially now that Bob Sargra has already received a hit, we'll see if the hit carries over on the 31st, but this is what I'll be playing probably this Sunday, and I hope that I do well. I really like playing EVA, and I think it's one of my more fun decks to pilot, so I'll let you know how that goes. Thank you all for watching.